Good morning, friends, and thanks for joining me. My name's Ian, and I do these podcasts every now and again in relation to my book, Living with Mitochondria Against All Odds. I have mitochondria, I'm a wheelchair user, and I can't see properly. This time we're going to talk, I did a triathlon. I usually do a triathlon most years. It is called the Superhero Tri in London at Dorney Lake, and usually Sarah helps me. Sarah, who I met when sailing with the Jubilee Sailing Trust several years ago. Sarah helps me, and sometimes one or two other people help me as well. This year, when I've been the last couple of years, I've stopped at my friend's Wayne's. Unfortunately, a few days ago, before the triathlon, Wayne contacted me and said he was in hospital. So he says, "You can still stay at my flat." So I had to, when I got to Wayne's flat, I had to get the taxi driver and a couple of other people to help me get the key out of the key safe. We first had to find the right block of flats. I rang Wayne's partner and we found where it was. And then Luke, who works at the shop nearby, and one of his neighbours and the taxi driver were helping me. So we found the right block in the end, and we got into the flat, which was good. And then I used the wheelchair around the flat. In other years, like last year, I parked the wheelchair in the bedroom and then I crawled around the flat. Other years, I furniture walked around the flat. It is only a one bedroom flat, but yeah. So that was all good. And I'd taken food to cook for the evening. Just like some meatballs and some pasta. So I was able to manage on my own. And then Sarah picked me up in the morning. I think she set off from home about 3:30 in the morning, because she lives near Peterborough, does Sarah. And she picked me up, and there was someone going into the flat as I was coming out, so I got them to help me put the key back in the key safe. And then when Sarah turned up, we then went to Dorney Lake, and then Patrick met us a little bit later on, and then we got changed and into our wetsuits, and then we did the triathlon. It was a 400 metre swim, but after the swim we then get out of our wetsuits into some dry clothes. and then it was a 10k bike ride, though just before we went to get changed I got measured for the bike, because we hired a bike. Unfortunately, he gave us one without any gears. So getting up and down there was about 4 bridges on each lap, and there was 2 laps. So getting up and down the bridges was a little bit hard. But the triathlon, the swim took around about between 40 minutes and an hour. The bike ride took nearly 2 hours. And then the wheelchair push, there's a 2.5k wheelchair push after that. So yeah, it was quite a day. Unfortunately, it'd been really, if you remember last weekend, ladies and gentlemen, it was sunny on the Friday, where I live in York, and down in London. It was sunny, but it was a bit overcast in London on the Saturday, which is where I was staying and where the triathlon was. So yeah, it was, like I say, it was a little bit overcast. It wasn't raining, but luckily, I think I drank some of the water in the river. Luckily, I know through experience, maybe drink some flat coke to get rid of the germs, but I forgot I didn't do this, and luckily I think the water was pretty clean, so I wasn't ill, which was a bit of luck. So after the wheelchair push, Pat had to go after the first lap of the cycling, so Pat went home, and then me and Sarah did the other lap of the cycling, and then I just had to do a 2.5k wheelchair push. We then set off back to Peterborough, and we stopped at McDonald's on the way. Me being gluten intolerant, I'm not really supposed to eat McDonald's or eat gluten filled burgers or bread with gluten in, so it was like savoury, because you don't do it very often. I think last time I had a pint at Wembley, a pint of bitter with gluten in. So, and that was about last February. That was like February gone. So I thought savour it. So, and then I had a Scotch egg on the way home that I kind of saved. So yeah, the Scotch eggs aren't gluten filled because we make them with gluten-free sausage meat and gluten-free breadcrumbs. If anyone's listening that thinking, oh, how does he do gluten-free Scotch eggs? Well, that's how we do it. One of my helpers, her daughter, has to avoid gluten herself, so I get help from my helpers, and to help me stay on the short and narrow, as I call it, playing by the rules. Well, it is nice now. I mean, I don't take the mickey, because if I take the mickey, I'm going to make myself really ill. But thankfully at the minute, having gluten doesn't make me iller than I would be otherwise. As I say, we called there, and then we got to Peterborough. I got the 7-something train home, and then caught the bus. My sisters are always, why don't you get a taxi? But I have a bus pass, so I will always get the bus. Often when you get on the bus at the train station, you have to make sure that there's room on the bus. But if you enjoy this, and if you have seen all my other podcasts, please go out and buy the book. It's Living with Mitochondria Against All Odds. And I will see you very soon. And anyway, thanks very much for listening, and goodbye for now. Bye.